Our mind, this thing in this coconut right here, this thing in our head right here, that if there is anything wrong here, everything falls apart. Okay. If there's something wrong with your heart and your mind are connected. Okay. And these two, heart and mind, have a very, very, very important role to play in our existence. And when they are disturbed, what happens within us is our system, that is our mind, body, and spirit, becomes corrupted. And when it becomes corrupted, it becomes diseased. And when it becomes diseased, then we start expressing that disease by lashing out at other people, destroying ourselves, destroying our environment, and destroying other people. And that is how this manifestation takes place. The war on terrorism is being waged against the wrong enemy. Okay, the war on drugs is being waged against the wrong enemy, because it is not against drug dealers or terrorists that we are up against. We're talking about agents of corruption that are all over the world, operating all over the globe. Okay, agents of corruption operating in our churches, agents of corruption operating in our schools, agents of corruption operating in our restaurants, agents of corruption operating in our banks, agents of corruption operating everywhere you turn. Okay, and these agents are looking for ways to break down anything that is working properly, anything that is producing positive outcomes for the people. You understand? Agents that hate and despise human beings, or our peace, hate and despise peace. Agents that want war, agents that are heavily invested in the destruction of the current human race as we know it. Okay, these are what we're up against. Ideologies that are dysfunctional, belief systems that are untrue, false prophets who are driving a stake into the heart and soul of humanity. So part of this campaign that I'm launching is to educate the masses about these things and how to take them seriously and how to address them at the roots, at the cause, not at the core, at the end of it, but at the beginning of it, at the cause of it, the root cause of them all. So part of my work is to educate us, to educate the communities, to educate the general public, not to shy away from it. Those of you who are blocking your minds, to open up and understand the conditions so you can contribute to its solution. Pedophilia is a product of mental illness, spiritual and mental illness. Okay, racism is a product of spiritual mental illness. Okay, terrorism is a product of mental and spiritual illness. Okay, and all the other dysfunctions that we are witnessing across the board. Okay, we have to consider the actual cause of all this, and then take care of what needs to be taken care of to help those who need to be helped, so we can understand, so we can move forward and heal. Okay, so my intention here is to educate, and though it may not resonate with some of you, I will do my best to be as clear as possible to educate the masses so we understand what to do and how to address this. Okay, everything wrong with this world today, every single thing wrong in this world today can be traced to one place: our heads. Our heads. The thing that occupies the space in our heads is the root of all our problems. Every single disease, every single conflict, every single argument, every single crime begins in our heads. And it is there that I've decided to focus my attention in order to produce the solutions to the problems that we are facing, the cures for the diseases that we are fighting, and the wars that are spreading everywhere. What needs to be understood at this time is what we need more than anything is healing. And this class or this video is part of that healing. It's part of my campaign, Operation Reveille and Operation Exodus, my campaign to move the world out of darkness into light and to bring the world out of mindlessness into mindfulness. Now, this healing, this healing begins with education to diagnose the problems that we are facing, the diseases that we are facing, to address the symptoms, share information, and come to a conclusion and present the cure. Okay, and present the cure. It all begins in our heads. So
The first part is education, like I said, to educate us so we understand. Then once we understand, we can take the intelligent step needed in order to bring an end to all the madness we're facing out there. Because all the things that we are seeing out there are all products of our thinking, our belief systems. What is happening in that coconut that is sitting on top of our shoulders, that is the root cause, or that is the battleground to win the war that we are currently in now, okay, and to bring the madness to an end. So, to help us understand, we have to first take the step to study, okay, take the time to study, and that study begins with ourselves, our own individual persons, and then our own lives. So, in order to be able to change anything in this world, we must first understand what it is. In order to understand it, we must study it. Okay, so that's kind of this is part of that process to help us study. I've done the studying, and this work is to show what I have discovered and to share what I know, so we can, moving forward, take the right steps to address what must be addressed intelligently, so we can bring an end to the foolishness, so that we don't spend another year battling the same things all over again. Okay, so first and foremost, we have to understand what life is in order to be able to change anything in life. We have to first understand what life is. Okay. In order to understand what life is, we have to understand who we are. Okay. Who and what we are, or who and what human beings are. We have to understand that and how we as human beings fit into the bigger picture. Okay. We have to understand that. Without understanding that, there's nothing we can change. Okay. And that understanding begins with an individual person. So that's the purpose of this video, to teach us about the human system, the human complex, okay, the mind, the body, and the spirit, and how these three operate within this reality, okay, how the three operate within this reality, and how our body functions are connected to all the problems that we are facing, okay, so we can understand the steps needed to be taken in order to correct anything that needs to be corrected to bring an end to all the madness, okay. So that studying of our mind, body, and spirit begins now. Okay, the studying of our mind, body, and spirit is a very, very important key, very, very important component of the necessary steps needed to bring, like I said, an end to all the madness out there. Okay, now understanding the human mind, the human body, and the human spirit are vital to our very survival. Vital. And this isn't about religion, this isn't about politics, it's about living. Okay, living. And when I say living, I speak of living fully, as the life that we've been given is supposed to be lived. Because currently, 90% of the human race have no idea what life is, and we are wasting it. Okay, that's one. And we are violating our own existence, that's two. We are violating nature's laws, that's three. And we are violating heavenly and spiritual laws. And all these violations, in turn, are coming back and biting us all in the asses. And we have to take that seriously. Okay? The pandemic we're facing now is a product of us violating the laws of our existence. And we have to take that seriously. Okay? So we have to study the mind, we have to study the body, we have to study the spirit. This video is the first of many videos that I'll be offering to help us understand these three. Of these three that needs to be understood, the most important part is the mind. The mind, the thing that sits on top of our shoulders. Okay? We have to understand it. And then once we understand it, we have to take control of it. Once we take control of it, it's only when we take control of it can we make any change, any lasting and real change to this world that we're living in, beginning with our own lives. Because without taking command of our heads, of our minds, we can never bring an end to terrorism. We can never bring an end to racism. We can never bring an end to the pandemics. We can never bring an end to poverty. We can never bring an end to human trafficking. We can never bring an end to pedophilia. We can never bring an end to all the quarreling, all the nonsense that's going on out there without taking command. of our own thinking, of our own minds. Okay? In order to do that, we have to understand how our mind works. We have to understand what our mind is and how it works. Okay? Just like anything out there, even things as simple as driving. Okay? In order to drive, you have to understand what a car is and what a car is used for, or what the different components of cars do, what the steering wheel does, what the brakes, the pedals, the gears, the belts, the windshield, the turning signals, what all of them do. Without understanding what these things do, if you jump in a car, what is going to happen? You're going to crash. Okay. So, in order to understand these things, you have to take the time to study. Okay. The human mind is a very, 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 very complex computer that has to be understood. If it's not understood, then what it becomes is like somebody driving out there without knowing how to drive. It becomes a threat. Okay. So that's the purpose of this video, to teach us and educate us about that coconut on top of our shoulders and how it fits into the puzzle that we are in, so we can eventually solve the problems we are trying to solve or we've been trying to solve for so long. Okay? So, the first thing that has to be understood is we have to study the brain. Okay? We have to study the brain. In order to understand the mind, we must first study the brain. Okay? In order to study the mind, we must first, in order to understand the mind, we must first study the brain. Okay. In order to first to gain access to the mind, we must first study the brain. Okay. And I've collected these videos to help us understand what the brain is. Okay. To help us understand what the brain is, because the brain is the vehicle in which the mind exists, or it is the temple within which the mind exists. Okay. And to help you understand the difference, it's like a computer. Okay, it's like a computer, right? The brain is the hardware. Talking about the keyboard, the screen, the casing, the wiring. That's what the brain is. And the mind is the software. It's like the Microsoft or the Mac, the software that actually allows the computer to function. Okay? Without each other, they can't work. Without the hardware, the software exists, but it is without form. So whatever form it is outside of a computer, but it cannot be used. Okay? The mind is a software that operates within the hardware, which is the brain. And it is the combination of these two, okay, that manages our entire existence, that manages our heartbeats, how we breathe, how we think, the processing of food, processing of words, sight, our ability to see, our ability to hear, our ability to walk, our ability to sleep, our abilities to love, our ability to love, our ability to study, our ability to drive, our ability to fly, our ability to ride, our ability to run. The mind and the brain together allows us to do these things. Without the two, these things will be impossible. What will happen is the body will be like a vegetable, just a plant, just lying there, not moving. It may be able to function, but it will not be able to do anything. It will just be lying there without the brain and the mind. So the brain and the mind together form the command center of our reality, of our existence, of life. And in order to understand life, we must first understand these two. That's the purpose of this video, to help us understand these two, the brain and the mind. So watch the videos on the brain and one on the mind and how it works. Okay? Watch the videos that I've put together for you so you can understand. Okay, so moving forward, we can do the work, because to bring an end to the pandemic, to bring an end to racism, to bring an end to terrorism, to bring an end to all the foolishness out there, we have to understand how our mind works and how our mind fits into the picture and the role that our mind is playing in all of this. okay, and the importance of taking control of our own minds. All right. So with that said, I leave you with peace. Love and light. Study, do your own research to learn as much as you can on your own. But look at what I've put together for you. Take notes, okay? And then after you've studied and understand, it's a program that I have that allows you to take command of your mind, take command of your thinking, take command of your own life, your own existence. So moving forward, we can intelligently address and coexist, interact with each other, and not keep acting a fool and breaking over a bunch of nonsense. Okay? So, with that said, I'm thankful that you're here. I'm grateful that you're here. So, steady. Let's get this work done. One love.